after I'd gone to bed behind the drapes hung between the kitchen and the side room. My dad was gone. He'd taken one look at Our Lady Grandma and bolted out the door, never even pausing to say hello. It was Mom and Grandma in the kitchen. Mom was telling her how resourceful Dad was, and how he could do anything, and what a rich life we had. From the bed next to mine, Stella said, "Mom's a dreamer." In the kitchen, Grandma said, "Rich! This is a rich life." My mother charged on. "Money isn't everything, Ma," she said. "And why you go and let him name that boy Crick? What kind of name is that? Sounds like he was raised in a barn." My parents had had an agreement. Dad got to name any boys they had, and Mom got to name the girls. Dad told me he'd named Crick after a clear little creek that ran beside the house they lived in at the time. Once, when I used the word crick in a paper for school, the teacher crossed it out and wrote creek above it. She said crick wasn't a real word. I didn't tell Dad that, or crick either. Mom named her first girl, my sister, Stella Maria. Then I came along, and she must have been saving up for me, because she named me Domenica Santolina Doone. My name means Sunday Southern Wood River. I was born on a Sunday, which makes me blessed, Mom said. And at the time, we lived in the South beside woods and a river. My name is pronounced in the Italian way, Domenica. Domenica Santolina Doone. It's a mouthful, so most people call me Dinnie. In the kitchen, Grandma Fiorelli was steaming on. "You ought to think of yourself," she said. "You ought to think of those children. They could be in a school like the one your sister works in. Your husband needs a real job." "He has a real job. Every 6 months, basta," Grandma said. "Why, he can't keep a job for more than 6 months at a time. What does he do anyway? Why didn't he go to college so he could get a real job? How are you going to get out of this mess?" "He's looking for the right opportunity," my mother said. "He could do anything at all. He just needs a break." Grandma's voice got louder every time she started up again. She was bellowing like a bull by this time. "A break! Ridicolo! And how is he going to get a break if he doesn't even have a college education? Answer me that." "Everybody doesn't need a college education," my mother said. "When we come to this country, your father and I, we know not a word of English, but you kids got a college education." Stella threw a pillow at me. "Don't listen, Dinnie," she said. "Put your head under this and go to sleep." The pillow didn't drown out Grandma Fiorelli, though. She barreled on. "And what about you?" Grandma said to my mother. "There you are, a perfectly well-trained artist, and I bet you don't even have a paintbrush to your name." "I paint," my mother said. "Like what? Walls? Falling down, peeling walls? Basta! You ought to talk to your sister." The next morning, Grandma Fiorelli was gone, and so was Dad. He'd gone looking for a new place to live. He'd heard of an opportunity, he said. And so we followed him around, from opportunity to opportunity, and as we went, Crick got into more and more trouble. Crick said it wasn't his fault that every place we went he met up with people who made him do bad things. According to Crick, some boys in Oklahoma made him throw rocks at the school windows, and some boys in Oregon made him slash a tire, and some boys in Texas made him smoke a joint, and some boys in California made him burn down a barn, and some boys in New Mexico made him steal a car. Every time we moved, Dad told him, "You can start over." And with each move, Stella got quieter and quieter. Within a week of our reaching a new town, there'd be boys pounding on the door day and night wanting to see her. All kinds of boys. Tough ones, quiet ones, nerdy ones, cool ones. In California, when she was 16, she came home one Sunday night after having been gone all weekend with one of her girlfriends, supposedly, and said she'd gotten married. "No, you didn't," Dad said. "Okay, I didn't," she said, and went on up to bed. She told me she'd married a Marine, and she showed me a marriage certificate. The Marine was going overseas. Stella started eating and eating and eating.